10 pieces adult beginners love to play. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I am Suzuki trained. If you're enjoying my videos, please just take a quick second to make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. It really helps me out and it really means a lot to me. If you're interested in working with me, you can also check the description for a private lesson application. I teach one-on-one online private lessons, as well as my online self-paced learning program, Learn Violin Online. Enrollment will be opening up in early 2026. In this video, I'm going to share some of the most popular violin tunes with the adult learner community based on my experience. And I'm also going to put them in order from easiest to hardest. So most beginner to most advanced, even though these are all beginner tunes. I've also created a packet with the sheet music for all 10 of these songs, which you can get completely for free in the description. So song number 1, the easiest one of them all, is Hot Cross Buns.
Hot cross buns, hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns.
There are several things that make this song the easiest. 1, you can play it entirely on one string. You never have to switch strings. And 2, you only have to use 2 fingers. You basically play 2, 1, open, 2, 1, open. So you're only using 2 fingers and you're staying all on one string. This tune is also very popular. I'm pretty sure that we all learned how to play Hot Cross Buns on the recorder in elementary school. Am I right? And I feel like it's one that a lot of adult beginners will go to, from the very start after they learn posture and how to hold the violin and practice open strings. Hot Cross Buns is a great first piece to play on the violin. Piece number 2 is no surprise. It's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So Twinkle Twinkle is a little bit more complicated than Hot Cross Buns because you have to use all 3 of your fingers. Well, not all 3 fingers. You have to use 3 fingers. And you do have to cross or switch between 2 strings. Another challenging part about Twinkle is that you have to go from an open string, open E in the Suzuki repertoire, to a 3rd finger on the A string pretty quickly. So that transition does take a little bit of work at the beginning. However, again, this is a very popular nursery rhyme, one that I'm sure we all know. And if you don't like to think of it as Twinkle Twinkle, because I know some people think of it as like a kid's song or whatever, you could just think of it as an alphabet song. They're the same, right? But in my experience, most adult beginners understand that they have to, start from the very basic, and Twinkle Twinkle really does teach a lot of great skills, like the ones I've already mentioned. Bonus is that you can play it on different strings. So like I said, the one in Suzuki is in the key of A major, so you play it on A and E, but you could also play it in D major on D and A, and then in G major on D and G. So you're practicing all 4 of your strings. Song number 3 is Ode to Joy. I think this is a really fun one because it's a Beethoven tune, right? It's from a symphony. It's actual classical music, and yet it's still very beginner friendly. The reason why I put this after Twinkle Twinkle is because I do like to have students try to use their 4th finger in this piece, just to keep it all on 2 strings. So it's primarily played on D string, and if you use your 4th finger, then you can play it all on D string and G string. The rhythm is also a little bit more complicated than Hot Cross Buns and Twinkle. Those only had quarter notes and half notes, but Ode to Joy has some dotted notes, some dotted quarter notes. Song number 4 is Happy Birthday. So Happy Birthday is obviously a great song to know because you can play it for your friends and family when it's their birthday. However, it does require you to use a low 2nd finger, which is the first time we've had to do this in this sequence that I have laid out here. Again, it does have some dotted rhythms, but it's usually not too much of an issue because you you know how the song goes, right? Often I like to challenge my students to try to learn this by ear once we've gone over the second fingers, the low second fingers, because again, you know it really well, and that could be a good challenge for you once you learn the low second fingers. Song number 5 is Jingle Bells.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
So the reason why I put this at 5th instead of earlier is because it kind of depends on if you're playing just the chorus or the whole entire thing. If you're playing just the chorus of Jingle Bells, you can play it all on one string if you use your 4th finger. So another really great opportunity to practice your 4th finger. However, if you're playing the verses as well, then you have to use the high 3rd finger. So that's just another more challenging finger placement. It means to put your 3rd finger a little bit higher, halfway in between where your 3rd and 4th finger usually go. But that is the challenge with Jingle Bells. And again, it does have a little bit more complex rhythm, but you know how Jingle Bells goes. Song number 6 is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So this song also does require you to use that high 3rd finger, even in just the little theme part. So that's why I put it next after Jingle Bells, because with Jingle Bells, it's kind of optional. Another challenge with this piece is just making it sound beautiful, because it is a slower song, right? And it requires you to use really long full bows, have a beautiful pleasing sound. It can be a lot harder to make sound beautiful than like the faster pieces with the shorter bow strokes, which we talked about before. That being said, obviously it's a beautiful tune, very well-known melody, and it's a lot of fun to play. Song number 7 is Amazing Grace. Is a slower song, so it requires a little bit more bow control, a little bit more clarity, a little bit more beauty in the sound. And the reason why I put it a little bit lower or higher, I guess, depending on how you look at it, on the list is because of the string crossings. So in terms of the notes, it's maybe a little bit easier than Somewhere Over the Rainbow because it doesn't have any like different or more advanced finger placements. It's just the high 2 finger pattern, and it's only played on 2 strings. Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you have to play at least on 3 strings, I believe. However, there's a lot of quick string crossings, which in my experience can give students trouble, which is understandable, right? So that's why I put it a little bit lower or higher on the list, but another very beautiful, friendly beginner tune. Piece number 8 is Vivaldi's Spring. And I know you might be thinking, Megan, isn't that like a hard piece, right? Like Vivaldi's Spring? And yes, of course, the full version of it is a very advanced piece that is not suitable for beginners. However, there are several versions of it that are very easy, like the one that I have included in the sheet music packet. The hardest things about this are going to be the high 3rd fingers, which we have already talked about in Jingle Bells and Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but also the trills. So trills are basically moving back and forth really quickly between 2 notes. And obviously to do this, 1, you have to be able to move your fingers quickly, right? But then 2, also release any tension that you have. But of course, it's a lot of fun to play and one that seems to be on everyone's bucket list. Piece number 9 is Ashokan Farewell. I must admit, I had never heard of this piece until I started teaching adults. But now I love it. It's incredibly beautiful. And I think the reason why students like it is because it's a fiddle tune, right? I think there's a lot of interest in playing pieces that are not necessarily classical, right? Because they can be considered a little bit more fun sometimes. But It is tricky for a number of different reasons. One, you have to play across all 4 strings, okay? It's the first piece in this list where you've had to do that. And 2, depending on the versions that you play, the rhythm can get a little bit complicated. There's many different versions of the piece. Some of them you have to shift, some of them you have to play double stop, so you really have to work to find one that's beginner friendly. But again, I included it for you, so don't worry about that. It is a slower piece, so again, it requires a little bit more control, a little bit more grace, but a very popular one within the adult beginner community. And number 10, I would be remiss if I did not include this. It is Canon in D. So us professional violinists, we're not huge fans of Canon in D just because, 1, we've played it so much, and 2, well, at least we're not cellists, right? They have to play the same thing over and over again. But it's not the most, quote unquote interesting because it's just a canon, right? We're all playing the same thing, just at different times. However, that does not negate its beauty. That does not negate that it is super well known and super iconic, and one that obviously you should learn to play if you're a violinist. But with that being said, it's definitely the hardest one on this list. It's pretty long. I think it's 2.5 pages. And the rest of these pieces, I think Ashokan Farewell was the longest, and it's 2 pages. The other ones are all a page or less. It does have some really fast notes. It goes all the way to 30-second notes, lots of different slurs, accidentals. Generally do have to shift when you play it. And on top of that, when you are playing with somebody, right, you have to really hold your ground and not get influenced by them, right, and want to play the same part that they're playing. You have to stay where you are and play your part. But it's a very fun classical tune that, like I said, all violinists should play. What piece did I miss? What's your favorite piece to play? Leave a comment and let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure you subscribe before you go.